Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, creator of the Angelova Method, an integrative approach to mind and body connection. The Angelova Method redefines your success equation to include a healthy body and a healthy mind, and was developed based on work with hundreds of clients, as well as my personal journey, creating the life I want, ditching stress and anxiety as a financial professional, and stepping into living a life of limitless possibilities. Hi, Rebels. Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And your special treat today is my dear friend, Anita Adams, who is a best-selling author and speaker, amongst many other things. Anita, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here, Maria. I'm delighted to be on your show.
I am very delighted to have you here, and I'm very delighted for you to talk to us all things inner connection. And so, that's my jam. So I'm very excited to have this conversation. But for those of our listeners who do not know who Anita is, Anita, give us 3 words that describe you and give us a little bit of a backstory behind each word.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, I'm a nature lover. Should I start there?
Sure. Go for it.
As a nature lover, I've really come to appreciate how nature helps our mind, body, and soul. Our time in nature is so important to elevating our spirits, our moods, our health, and helps us connect to who we really are so we can align with our true purpose. So I love being in nature, and part of my mission in life is to encourage others to get out into nature. I'm also a life coach, and a big part of my coaching, my teaching, is to also get people out into nature. It's just a theme that encompasses everything that I do, and I love working with people to help them find their true selves. We get so lost in a world of what we feel we should do and what we're told we should do and how we should behave, and we get lost in who we really are. So a big part of what I do is help people find themselves again, or get unstuck and move into a life aligned with that true self. And a third word that describes me, gosh dang, there's so many. Cyclist. Can I say cyclist?
Sure.
That's
Cyclist.
a passion of mine. It's not a passion that particularly serves anyone, but it serves me. It brings me so much joy to be on my bike and feel the wind in my face and to climb mountains and run down them. So it's it brings me a lot of joy. That's me a little bit in a nutshell.
Yeah, the cycling aligns with your first one, the nature love and being outdoors and doing activity as outdoor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Anita, I'm a huge fan of the outdoors, and I highly, highly, highly recommend to anybody outdoor therapy. I think we spend way too much inside. And I will tell you, I live in suburbia. So for me, if I'm not intentional to make time to step out, I don't ever have to be outside, because I can go from my house to my car, to the store, back to the house, and to the office, and back into the car. And I don't ever have to move. I don't ever have to be outside. I don't ever have to see the sun, which I think is so scary, because for many that becomes a lifestyle, of an accepted lifestyle, right? To not be outdoors. And the outdoors, there is scientific research, and there is something that's actually called outdoor therapy, and that's being exposed to the sun. And I'll tell you, just today I was watching my dog. Every day, no matter what the weather is, she would find the sunniest place in the patio, and she'll go and sit there and just sit, and we will laugh at her, she's taking her sun bath. But I think that's just nature. And we are also designed like that, to be outside. So shout out, rebels, get outside, get some sunshine, get some fresh air. Do not stay stuck in the fake lighting, step outside and get some real light, some real sunshine, and some real fresh air.
Absolutely. I love, if I want to just jump on that,
Yeah,
if
please
may I
do.
jump
Please
in?
do.
Yeah, I love that you recognize that there's more and more people that are turning to nature therapy, and more professionals recommending nature therapy. Doctors are even prescribing park passes, which I find fascinating. And yay, doctors for doing that. You know, philosophers through the ages have been singing the praise of time in nature, and finally science has caught up. And it not only, you know, improves your mood and enhances your immune system and all this amazing stuff, but there's actually been studies done how on the brain, where they'll show a picture, just a mere photo of a nature scene, and it will light up and activate the part of the brain that is connected with empathy and love. And then they'll show photos of urban scenes, and it will activate part of the brain that is connected to fear and
Mhm.
anxiety. And so imagine, if those are just images, imagine what happens when you actually immerse yourself in nature, and how that can flood in and heal your body and calm your mind and soul. I'm sure you've heard of the term forest bathing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Of course you have. So for those that,
Tell us, because maybe some people are not familiar with what.
yeah, for those who may not be familiar, it's a term that was coined by Japanese researchers that is about connecting with nature. And what these researchers have actually discovered is that there are aerosols that are emitted by the forest, by the trees. And when we are in these environments, we breathe in those aerosols. And these researchers suspect that those aerosols are responsible for the elevated natural cell killers in our natural killer cells,
Healer sellers.
natural killer cells in our immune system. And those natural killer cells will target tumors and infection. So if you spend time in nature, you can literally heal infection by just breathing in those aerosols that our trees are putting into the air. So amazing. I just want, I like, wow.
Right? It's
I
mind
geek
blowing.
out with this stuff, you know, I just love it.
Yeah, and I mean something as simple walking outside on, bare grass. Or, I mean, I will tell you, my family makes fun of me. So we go for a hike and I go hug trees and they're like, here she goes. And I'm like, well, it's like it's grounding. It feels good. You're connected to nature. We are so disconnected. I mean, there's so much fake stuff around us. Our clothing is fake. Our furniture is fake. Our shoes are fake. Like we are surrounded by fake. And we don't thrive in that. We have fake light.
Yeah.
It's we're not, our body is not meant to thrive in fake. We are
Yeah.
part of nature.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah.
need it. You know, and that brings up something else that science has recently revealed. There was a study done in at the Yale University of Environment, and they discovered that the amount of time that you need to invest in nature, and it's 120 minutes a week, and that's actually a hard boundary. 120 minutes, 2 hours a week. The study concluded that there were no measurable benefits if you spent less than 2 hours a week in nature.
Mm.
The good news is that 2 hours does not have to be 2 hours in one go. It can be
Yeah.
broken up any way you like. And as I'm a particular fan of the daily dose, that works out to 17.14 minutes a day, which is something you can easily,
You can easily
squeeze
do.
into
Yeah.
your during your lunch break. If you're working, all day long, just have lunch. And the benefit of this, doing it that time, I'm sure you've experienced after lunch, you feel kind of like low energy,
Groggy.
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have lunch, go for a walk for 15 to 20 minutes, and you will be revitalized, and you will reap the benefits of this time being outside. And if I may just add one more thing, that's
Please.
something that people comment a lot with me. It's like, well, Anita, you live in a beautiful natural environment. So nature's in your back door, but I live in the city. How do I access that? I'm like, well, nature's around us all the time. You don't have to be in a forest, or by the ocean or by the stream to connect with nature. You can literally sit on your deck. You could be like your dog sitting on the deck,
Yeah.
looking up at the clouds, and just connecting with that with your environment. And then that's the final piece, is the connection, and the intentional connection. Like, really take the moment to see, use all your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, even, just
Yeah.
really connect to your environment. And you can do that anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the great wild west. It can be anywhere, right?
I'm a huge fan of the outdoors. So whenever I have a chance to step out, even if it's for 5 minutes while waiting for a client, maybe who is running late, I will step on the patio. Like, I had to do some admin stuff today, and I just sat outside on the patio, and I just did it outside, just to be outside, right? I mean, it wasn't my ideal because I wasn't focused on the outside, but I was outside instead of inside. That was a good 30 minutes outdoors, right? And then again, I had 30 minutes. I went and I didn't go to the forest. I didn't go on a hike. I just went into my neighborhood and just did a loop around, right? And if you do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, the minutes add up. And like you said, and I love the example of doing it after lunch, because another bonus would be it will help your digestion.
Right.
So that's an extra bonus right there. And, go do it with a friend, with a colleague. Now
Yeah.
that adds the social aspect to it. And I also love that you talk about the being
Intention.
intentional. Yes, I'm struggling with the word. It's because it is so easy to go outside and be on conference calls and,
Listen to
thinking
a
about work.
podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to just be and put the phone away and listen to the birds and pay attention to. If you really tune in, you will be surprised of how many things you see of, things that are part of a yard that you walk every day by that you have never paid attention to, if you really tune in to the present moment. And it is so therapeutic, and it is so freeing, and it is so distressing. And who can't use that nowadays?
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm glad you presence that, because it's so important for us to be present, and connect. So I talk about being in nature. There's sort of two levels of it. You can just simply get out, the science just talks being outside in
Yep.
nature. And I think that's really important. You're gonna, if you just simply get outside, you are going to reap the benefits. If you want to up the ante, if you want to maximize this time in nature, then you become intentional with that time, and you become intentional by focusing on your environment and connecting with your environment, as I said, using all of your senses. And yes, you can do that with a friend if your friend is intentional with you. So I recommend trying to connect with nature on your own, at least for a little bit of time, or go with a friend that is of similar mind and is willing to have some silent time in nature, so you can really connect to your environment. And when you connect with your environment in that way, it really gets you grounded, gets you present. And then this is the part that I'm really I like to drive home, is it helps you to connect with who you really are. It connects you to what I call your soul voice, your inner wisdom, and your understanding of who you are and what you want. And this is where you can find clarity of direction, clarity of purpose, clarity of what is yours to do now or next, and how to move forward. And then this is when you also begin to believe in yourself. When you invest this kind of time with yourself, you can connect with what I call your higher self, your soul voice, as I said. I use these terms interchangingly: your soul voice, your higher self, your inner wisdom. And you begin to understand who you really are and how to move forward, powerfully forward, with purpose and meaning in your life. And this is so powerful when you invest this time with yourself to understand who you are and what you want.
I think you made a beautiful transition between outdoor time and what I call inner connection, which is what you're talking about. Because so many times, friends, clients will say, well, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, what's in alignment with you?
Yeah,
You are
exactly.
the only person who knows that. And they'll start going through what's going through their head. And I'm like, whoa, like, you need to tone that down, because right now there's so much noise going that it is not a good time to be making a decision. So what is the best place to find clarity? Like you said, it's in the place of silence, and it's the place of being grounded and present. and connected, interconnected to yourself, nature is a great way to do that. And I do think, again, our lifestyle has become so disconnected from that. We don't even know how to slow down. It's for many people, it's uncomfortable to be by themselves, right? To
And
just
then add
wander
in
around.
silence by yourself, and people go,
Yeah.
oh, no.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. You're right.
And it's a practice. And if it's not something, I would say, I would love to hear your opinion, but I say start with short spans of time. I love to run with my music on, but occasionally I won't take even my phone. Like on the weekends, I'm very intentional to not keep my phone close to me at all. Why? Because I know the minute I check one text message, I'm going to start responding to text. I'm going to go check my email. And 3 hours later, I'm still doing that. So just start with small pieces of time, 5 minutes of time of silence. Go for a circle around the block, increase that to 10 minutes. And the more you do it, the more you start enjoying it. And the more, because what do you hear, Anita? For a lot of people say, oh my gosh, there is no way there is silence in there. It's just like one thought after another, which is how most people live.
Yeah, and I actually think it's a fallacy to believe, not a fallacy, but it's not common for us to be able to completely empty our thoughts all the time. Like even in meditation isn't about having no thoughts. It's about allowing them to float by like clouds and not to attach ourselves to the thoughts, and just like notice them and let them go, notice them, and then come back to your breathing and focus on your breathing, and then notice another cloud that goes by and then come back, right? So the same sort of thing is, when you're in nature, that's what I teach my clients to do. Is it's a walking meditation is what it is. And by using all of your senses to focus on, is like, what do I see now? Take just a moment to notice all the things you see. Then take a moment to notice all the things you hear. Then take a moment to notice all the things you can feel, you can touch. Take another moment to notice all the things you smell. And if it's safe and the berries that are in your area, pick
What to
one.
taste.
Make sure you know what you're putting in your mouth. But sometimes how you can smell things, you can almost taste the smell too, right?
Yeah.
Notice, recognize that. And that
Yeah.
will get really, really present. The other practice I like to teach during this mindful time of walking in nature is to practice gratitude. Take a few minutes to start. I usually start there when I get outside for my walk. I just start speaking my gratitude out loud. And it comes so naturally because I'm so happy to be outside. I'm like, oh, thank you for this beautiful space that I can walk in. And then that just goes, and that carries on. And next thing I'm being thankful for my awesome hiking boots that I've had for years that are, like so sturdy and whatever. And my legs that are carrying me on this walk, and for the beautiful flowers, whatever, like it carries on and on and on. And the practice of gratitude. Again, this is something that science has studied now too. Gratitude raises our vibration. It raises our mood. It gets us connected to our heart center. And when we're connected to our heart center, it opens up, it expands, and it allows us to receive what the universe has to share with us. It allows us to tune into that inner wisdom, that soul voice, that inner knowing, right? It helps us to hear what's going on the inside and feel what we really want. I love that you mentioned your client that is like coming to you and asking you, what should I do? What should I do? That's so common. I was there. I was that person, like life was going like crazy and I was freaking out, and I'm like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And it's so common just to turn to everybody else and look for answers and be told what we should do.
Yeah.
Instead of turning inward. Because what you may tell somebody to do, Maria, will be from, and I know you wouldn't, but you've got
From my point of view.
your point of view, your
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
glasses, and
100%.
what has
Yeah.
happened in your life, and what the goals you're working toward, and what's your
Exactly.
values will dictate what you do and how you share your thoughts and opinions. And so we need to take the time to go inward and understand what's important to us, so we can ask that question ourselves. What should I do? And you know the answer. You know
You
what
know
you
the answer. I think sometimes we know the answers, and I think sometimes the answer is scary, right? Because perhaps it
Yes.
requires us to do something different that's outside our comfort zone. So it's
Mm.
easier if somebody else tells you to do it, right? Or perhaps if you're thinking one thing, but you're scared to do it, and now I tell you to do what's easy to do, you'll be like, oh, well, okay, I knew that was silly, right? But you're right. When we learn to connect to our inner voice, to our soul, it is such a powerful place to be. And I tell people, your intuition would never lie to you. It will never, guide you wrong. Yeah, you just have to learn to tune in. And I love the techniques that you said, because using your senses, using gratitude, using breathing, these are all techniques to allow the cloud of thoughts that you talked about to come and go versus to come and get stuck because you're now getting emotionally wrapped up into it, right? That is
Yeah.
the difference. Is not that your mind would ever be clear, like you said, that will be there, but where you have to rewire is, all right, I hear you, let's just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And when you ground into intuition, breathing is another technique that I love, but it is so important to stay true to ourselves. And in
Yeah.
order to stay true to ourselves, we have to know who we are, and we have to be able to tap into that soul. Anita, tell us, I love the title of your book, but Whispers of the Soul. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about Whispers of the Soul.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Maria. I feel like I have been telling you a little bit about it through our conversation, because that's really what my book is about. And it all started because I was in that state of anxiety and fear and uncertainty early in the pandemic. During that time, I was the founder of a national organization that I built from the ground up, that I ran for almost 2 decades by this point. And suddenly, overnight, I felt like I was going to lose it all. And it just really sent me into a tailspin of fear and anxiety. And I was doing what we were talking about. I was demanding to know, what am I supposed to do? And I was asking everybody, what should I do? What should I do? And one day I brought that to my business coach, that question. And she asked me one simple question in return. And it was, well, Anita, what do you typically do when you feel stressed? I'm like, well, I usually go for a walk in the forest. She's like, perfect. Here's what you're going to do. Every day for the next 30 days, you are going to go for a walk in the woods. And I pushed back big time. It's like, what? No, I don't have time for that.
I
And
need
in
a
my
business plan.
yeah, exactly. And in my head, I'm thinking, what kind of business coach tells her client to go for a walk in the woods? I need business advice, not nature therapy. But she insisted. And I'm so grateful to this day that she did. And I managed to find the time. It's interesting. We do have time. We just make excuses not to. And
When you
the only
want to do
way
something, you will find the time.
you'll find the time. And at that time, I thought the only way I would be able to make it work is if I set my alarm clock for a half hour earlier in the day and just get up and go for a walk then. And that's what I did. And that turned out to be the greatest thing I could have done. And I would, get up, sneak out of the house quietly early in the morning while everybody else is asleep. And I marched down to the forest. And during that time, I would be demanding of the universe again, or the squirrels or the birds, raising my hands to the skies. What am I supposed to do? And slowly, ever so slowly over time, I started to feel calmer and more grounded, and even grateful to my business coach for sending me in.
Making a walk.
Taking me a walk, yeah, because I was feeling better. I wasn't exactly happy, but I was happier and calmer, and that noise in my brain had settled down. And in this quieter, calmer place, I asked God, the universe again, what am I supposed to do? And then I heard a whisper, if you will. And the whisper, it was my voice, but it was like an older, wiser version of me. And she simply asked, what do you want to do? And I didn't miss a beat. I'm like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? What am I supposed to do? No, Anita, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't know. Yes, you do. And that totally stumped me, Maria. It totally stumped me. And I'm like, what? Later that day, I found myself in the bookstore, in the spirituality section, clearly still looking for something or somebody to tell me what to do. And I found this one book, and I pulled it off the shelf. It was called Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsh. I flipped it open, and this one line just jumped off the page, and it said, "Frustration and anxiety come from not listening to the soul." And
Mm,
that's when I realized I'm not tuning in. I'm not listening. And I've been there before. I've been there, like I know this stuff, but we
you
get
know, yes, it
wrapped
gets
up.
loud. Yes, it gets
Yeah, the noise in our head gets loud, the fear gets elevated, and we step back from what we know we need to do because we're just so consumed with fear and anxiety. And so I made it my mission to get reconnected and to figure out, how do you do that? How do you make that into something that you can tune into on a regular basis for guidance? And it took me a little while to figure it out, but I realized when I look back at the times when I was successful in hearing that voice and feeling that guidance, it was when I was in nature. It was when I had opened my heart by expressing my gratitude. It was when I was connected to my environment using all my senses. And when I did those three things together, then I could go inward and ask, what is it that I want? What is it that I want?
want, yeah,
Yeah.
and get
And then
clarity.
listen, and this is the key, is to listen to what bubbles up without judgment, because as you said, what we hear sometimes is scary, because
Mhm.
it's our voice, our inner voice of wisdom, our soul voice is always going to speak to us about our potential. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's going to push us out of our comfort zone.
I can 100% relate, and I love that. And I love that you talk about how you got mad at your business coach, because I had a client one time ask me, she said, I don't understand how what we're doing. I made something about the comment how what we do in terms of being intentional and being connected mind, body, and spirit affects business. And she goes, well, I don't understand how that's related to professional development. And frequently when people, what do I do? And I'll tell them, meditate or journal or go for a walk. And they look at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, I mean it.
It's
Like,
that simple.
like it's that simple. Like, quiet in, silence
Yeah.
the mumbo jumbo in here, and tune into yourself. And I'm telling you from personal experience that it works, and it works in ways that you cannot even imagine, right? You just have to
Yeah.
listen. That's the keyword.
Yeah.
You have to listen.
You have to listen, and you have to be committed to this practice. And it is a
Yes.
practice. And it's not
100%.
it's it takes a little bit of time, particularly if there's a lot of noise going on up in your head, and that you're feeling distracted with everything that's going on, or fearful or anxious. It takes a little bit of time to find the answers, and finding the consistency that will lead you there, right? So,
Yeah.
and this is what my book is about. It's
I
about that.
love
It's
it.
about developing that practice. It's the personal stories around all of that, and it's the book is it's over. It's actually, I go back to stories like 10-15 years ago to illustrate some of the early learnings that I had when I first discovered about the importance of connecting with your
Tapping in.
soul voice. Yeah. And but yeah, this it is a practice, a daily practice of connecting with yourself, your higher self. And that's a beautiful practice, and it will transform your life if you commit to it.
If you
Right?
commit to it. I love it. And
Yeah.
actually, on that topic, that's going to be a beautiful transition to what is your definition of rebellious? Because I think that very much ties into what you're talking about.
Yeah. What I think about rebellious is stepping away from the norm, what others expect you to do, and what society, breaking free from the culture scape of what we're told to do, and being true to yourself. So I love that, the rebellious is being true to who you are, in my opinion. Yeah.
That's exactly what my intent was when I came up with it. Through to you, through to your voice, through to your inner voice.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
love it. I love it. I think that's why we feel so aligned.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Anita, tell us, where can people find the book? How can they connect with you, find out about your programs?
Yeah.
You do so many things. You have a tour that's about to kick out nationwide. Like, tell us, where can we get more information?
Yeah, the best place to go to my website, which is joyfulinspiredliving.com. And I have everything there. There's links to my books, my different programs. A lot of the things I do are free too. And what I would love to offer your listeners is to take me up on the 30-day nature challenge. I created something that will support you in this. It's every day for 30 days, you will receive a short email that includes a beautiful image, beautiful quotes, a few prompts, and a short audio component that you can tune into when you step out into nature to give you some guidance while you are on your nature walk. And then, of course, that they're usually about 1 or 2 minutes long, and then you just connect to your environment. And it's a beautiful program. It's free for everyone, and it will help motivate you, inspire you to get out the door and to create that new habit of connecting with nature.
I
So
love
that
it.
you can find on my website. I call it the challenge, the nature challenge. So, but it's
Okay.
my website.
Repeat the website again, Anita.
joyfulinspiredliving.com.
Excellent. And we'll make sure to include that in the episode notes as well. Anita,
Awesome.
thank you for your awesome energy and inspiration. Rebels, you know what to do. Let us know if you have any questions for Anita. If you enjoyed this episode and if you know of anybody else who might benefit from it, please share, like, comment. Do make sure that you follow up with Anita and do take advantage of that challenge. What a fantastic way, especially as the fall is coming, to take advantage of creating a habit that will serve you in more than one way. Getting your movement in, connecting to nature, nurturing your body, mind, and spirit. You guys know that you have to stay rebellious. Tune into that soul of yours. Anita, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you, Rebels, next time. Did you enjoy the conversation? Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Want to learn more about the Angelova method? Please visit our website rebellious-studio.com.